Have you ever paused to wonder how the world of MMA can appear so brutally simple? Just two fighters throwing everything at each other, while simultaneously hiding a maze of hidden strategies, backstage dramas, and unexpected plot twists. One moment, it's a frenzied exchange of punches and kicks under glaring lights. The next, we're consumed by rumors of sudden replacements, hush-hush deals, and private training camp upheavals. Today, we'll peel back the layers behind the latest MMA storylines, shining light on the narratives, controversies, and personalities steering the sport's next seismic shifts. It all started at UFC 313 with a routine weigh-in. Alex Pereira stepped up to the scale at 103.2 kilograms, about 227.2 pounds. At first, it sparked little more than a passing mention, yet in the swirling world of MMA gossip, some see this heavier than usual physique as more than just a random fact. They believe Pereira may be posturing for a short-notice upgrade if a headlining fighter pulls out. Historically, being close to an appropriate weight class and ready on call can vault a mid-tier name into overnight stardom, especially if the UFC needs an urgent substitution for a top-billed fight. On the flip side, there's persistent talk of Pereira protecting an old knee injury. He's said to be maintaining a sturdier frame to cushion the strain of intense grappling sessions. What raises eyebrows further is Pereira's oddly composed demeanor, unusually quiet, especially given the hype swirling around him. Some interpret that as confidence born from behind-the-scenes negotiations. After all, in MMA, a single stroke of luck, like a champion getting injured, can open the door to a life-changing opportunity. Whether chance or a carefully laid plan, Pereira's extra kilos might place him on a collision course with the sport's elite faster than anyone anticipated. Shifting from speculation about Pereira's readiness, we turn to an undefeated rising star defending his zero against a challenger determined to smash that perfect mark.
Bom, vamos ver aqui quando tô pesando, chegando aqui em Las Vegas. Hoje, dia 2 de março, né? Que horas são agora, meu?
Agora são às 6 horas da tarde.
6 horas aí. Chama. Chama!
With a sparkling 6-0 record, Navajo Sterling stands as one of MMA's next big hopes, or so fans keep insisting. He's coming off a decisive, unanimous decision that bolstered talk of a possible title run, yet skeptics maintain that Sterling's path has been too smooth, suspecting he hasn't faced anyone with the grit to truly test him. Enter Ivan Erslan, driven by the sting of a split decision defeat he blames on an untimely injury. Some fans even say Erslan was robbed, fueling a sense of injustice in the fighter himself. Behind the scenes, rumors swirl about friction within Sterling's camp, specifically over training philosophies. One camp insider suggests Sterling's longtime boxing coach is irritated that he's focusing too heavily on wrestling. Another rumor claims Sterling tweaked a shoulder in recent sparring, but downplays its seriousness to maintain Erslan's uncertainty. Meanwhile, Erslan's online training clips radiate fierce determination, highlighting his sharpened takedown defense and punishing leg kicks. If Erslan derails Sterling's undefeated momentum, it could catapult him toward the spotlight while drastically altering Sterling's hype trajectory. Conversely, a commanding Sterling win might silence the critics once and for all. As Sterling defends his unblemished slate, two other fighters on the same card grapple with pressures that could define their careers or end them entirely. Fresh from a hard-fought unanimous decision over Kwang Lee, Chris Gutierrez appears to be a man on the rise. However, hints of arrogance and gym altercations suggest friction with team members. Depending on who you ask, he's either a driven competitor pushing everyone to excel or an egotist whose success has gone straight to his head. Regardless, the tension might erode camp unity at a moment when Gutierrez needs unwavering support to jump into the next contender tier. On the opposite side, John Castaneda teeters on the precarious ledge between survival and a UFC exit. After falling to Daniel Marcos, rumors abound that another loss could see him cut. with swirling talk about whether he should pivot to a wrestling-centric approach or stick to his proven stand-up style. Castaneda risks heading into the cage burdened by conflicting strategies. Add whispers of personal financial woes, and it's clear the psychological stakes are immense. One strong performance might salvage his contract. A defeat would likely extinguish any near-term future in the organization. Sometimes, fights lacking top billing hide the rawest drama. Two competitors fighting for their professional and personal livelihoods. Moving from mid-tier desperation, we now focus on a former welterweight champion yearning for a second act, though a surging grappler stands in his path. Former welterweight king Leon Edwards lost his belt to Belal Muhammad in a unanimous decision that remains a hot topic. Edwards points to an odd fight week schedule, the crushing weight of headlining at home, and questionable officiating as factors in his subpar showing. Now, at UFC London, he battles Sean Brady, a relentless grappler with a knack for strangling the hopes of even-skilled strikers. Insiders say Edwards has revamped his training, bringing in accomplished wrestlers to replicate Brady's grinding style. He's determined to plug the holes that Muhammad exploited, yet the Brady camp brims with confidence, reportedly seeing exploitable gaps in Edwards' stand-up-to-ground transitions. If Edwards fails again, doubts about his champion caliber may overshadow his past success, imperiling any immediate shot at reclaiming gold. Brady, on the other hand, sees a victory over an ex-champion as a game-changer, possibly booking him a date with Belal Muhammad or another top-tier name. The stakes couldn't be higher: redemption for Leon or a star-making leap for Brady. While welterweights chase redemption, the middleweight division simmers with tension as an ambitious call-out rattles a revered former champion.
I heard about my replacement fight probably like a couple weeks before. I was in talks with the UFC. I was trying to step in to fight Belal, but I knew that they sold London around me, so it was difficult to take me off the card and leave Jack on the card, and because it would be weird to let Jack headline London, you know. So got a new opponent, Sean Brady. It's a style that I'm used to, a style that I'm comfortable fighting. Yes, I'm looking forward to it. Should be good. Also, Jack getting replaced to fight for the title. I feel like that opened up the division more. You know, if it goes out and get the win, I think that's a perfect fight for me next. If Belal beats him, then like I said, the rematch is there for me as well. So I spoke to the UFC. They told me that after this win, this is the number one contender fight.
Middleweight shockwaves erupted when Caio Borralho boldly called out ex-champion Robert Whittaker for UFC 3177, scheduled on June 29th at International Fight Week. Whittaker, normally stoic and strategy-focused, was blindsided by Borralho's brashness on social media. Fans quickly split. Some laud Borralho's guts for daring to climb the ranks fast. Others see it as overreaching, given Whittaker's track record of systematically dismantling high-level foes. Rumor has it Whittaker's team might angle for Sean Strickland or another top 5 adversary, viewing Borralho as too big a risk with insufficient reward. Yet as MMA history shows, loud callouts often capture fan imaginations, sometimes forcing the UFC to book fights purely out of public interest. If Borralho secures this bout and lands an upset, he might rocket from prospect to contender overnight. If Whittaker accepts and dominates, the status quo holds firm, and Borralho's brash approach could be chalked up to naive ambition. As the middleweights stir the pot with bold challenges, a champion's relentless wrestling has fans split. One rival's coach believes he finally has the recipe for dethroning the unstoppable grappler. Bantamweight monarch Merab Dvalishvili might not be the flashiest champion, but his chain wrestling has proven lethal. He grinds challengers against the fence, draining their energy before they can unleash big moments. Critics cry boring, while supporters hail it as peak technical mastery. Tim Welch, part of Sean O'Malley's inner circle, claims they've dissected Dvalishvili's fight patterns, identifying exactly how to force him into stand-up exchanges he'd rather avoid. Allegedly, they've drilled extensive footwork patterns, lateral movement, and snap counters to punish Dvalishvili's repeated takedown attempts. The UFC brass, rumored to be lukewarm about extended ground fests, might be quietly rooting for an upset that produces highlight reel sequences. Yet Dvalishvili's consistency in dragging foes into his domain is unmatched. The question is whether O'Malley can capitalize on those few fleeting windows to hurt him. If Welch's blueprint truly works, we could witness a changing of the guard. If not, Merab's iron grip on the division endures. With the bantamweight title in flux, the heavyweight division bristles with its own controversy. An all-time great champion facing allegations of dodging a formidable newcomer.
It's like, okay, if Merab fights anybody else, he's gonna hump him on the fence and he's gonna win. Sugar on. Everyone knows Sean wasn't on that night, and partly it's my fault. Partly it's a little bit of the game plan that I had for him.
What's that?
just because it's like, I don't want to give it away. I don't want to give it away because we're going to have a different game plan. It's going to be a different fight. It's going to be a different fight. Just watch. The person who can take Merab out is Sean, and I can't wait for it. Huge challenge, and it makes it that much sweeter. But after the Aljo moment, I'm like, I don't know if we're going to ever beat that moment, but this is an opportunity to have a sweeter moment than that moment.
Heralded by many as MMA's GOAT, Jon Jones stands at the pinnacle of the heavyweight division, but rising star Tom Aspinall insists Jones's camp keeps dragging its feet on a showdown. Fans, burned by the unfulfilled prospect of Jones versus Francis Ngannou, see an unsettling pattern, lengthy contract talks, rumors of financial demands, and no definitive signature on the dotted line. Jones loyalists insist he's justifiably negotiating for the big payday that fits his legacy. Meanwhile, Aspinall asserts he's ready for the biggest fight of his life and wonders aloud if Jones doubts he can withstand a younger, faster heavyweight threat. Observers note the Narstrip Jones and Duck Jones hashtags proliferating on social media, pressuring the UFC to resolve this stalemate. Some whisper about a possible interim belt if Jones continues to hold out. The outcome carries massive implications. Either we get a colossal clash showcasing the old guard versus the new wave, or the division fractures in frustration, possibly prompting the UFC to move on without Jon's involvement. While Jon Jones's legacy hangs in the balance, another battle brews, one hinged not just on skill, but moral convictions and philanthropic wagers.
Do you still want to see the winner of this fight Tom Aspinall to unify the heavyweight title?
Was that for me?
Yeah.
What's the question?
Do you want to see the winner fight Tom?
The winner should absolutely fight Tom.
Alex Pereira recently challenged Magomed Ankalaev to a bold proposition. Whoever loses pays $200,000 to a charity chosen by the winner. Ankalaev, devout in his Muslim faith, declined outright, referencing religious prohibitions on gambling. He stressed that he donates privately each year, resisting any public show. Fans were immediately divided. Some hailed Ankalaev's steadfast beliefs, while others labeled him afraid to put money where his mouth is. Pereira insists it was purely philanthropic, though cynics see a cunning tactic to cast Ankalaev as less charitable. The UFC, never shy about controversy, has relished the extra publicity. Heading into UFC 313, this match transcends typical competitive angles, pitting moral viewpoints and personal convictions front and center. Will Pereira's flamboyant challenge rattle Ankalaev psychologically, or will Ankalaev's refusal embolden him, seeing the bet as a trivial stunt he wisely avoided? One thing's certain, fans are enthralled by a narrative far deeper than standard fight hype. In the midst of moral standoffs, a cancelled lightweight slugfest has left one former champion quietly relieved, demonstrating how quickly dream matchups can become cautionary tales.
Em Las Vegas, a gente está apostando $200 mil para fazer uma doação para crianças carentes ou crianças do câncer, né? Onde muitas pessoas estão precisando dessa ajuda, né? Como o Ali e o Ankalaev, eles parece que têm 100% de certeza que eles vão ganhar de mim, então eu acho que eles vão aceitar esse desafio, né? Eu sou uma pessoa que sou pé no chão, consciente de tudo que eu falo, em todas as minhas entrevistas, com todo mundo que eu lutei, eu sempre vou na vontade de ganhar. Eu quero ganhar, mas eu não sei se eu vou ganhar, né? Então, mesmo assim, com esse pensamento, eu quero apostar $200 mil, né? E não importa, tem que vir do Ankalaev, né, do empresário dele. Se alguém quiser patrocinar esses $200 mil aí e colocar no nome deles para fazer essa aposta, para mim não tem problema.
Originally booked to pit Dan Hooker against Justin Gaethje, the fight fell through due to Hooker's broken hand. Though fans lamented the missed opportunity for all-out warfare, ex-champion Robert Whittaker admitted he breathed a sigh of relief, having witnessed Gaethje's destructive power, particularly in his savage brawl with Rafael Fiziev. Whittaker voiced fears that Hooker's fearless style could lead to irreversible damage for one or both men. This perspective highlights a paradox at MMA's core. Fans crave adrenaline-fueled wars, yet the personal cost to fighters can be staggering. Gaethje now prepares for a rematch with Rafael Fiziev, delivering the fireworks fans love, minus the extra heartbreak Whittaker anticipated. A single fight can both enthrall audiences and threaten a fighter's career longevity. Amid the roars of the crowd, the potential for severe injury lurks. A sober reminder that every instant classic exacts a steep price from those inside the cage. Reflecting on near misses of brutal violence, chance, we circle back to the heavyweight belt and the question everyone's been asking. Will Jon Jones finally defend, or should the UFC take drastic action?
Like I have such mixed feelings with Hooker out, right?
Go on.
I am happy ultimately though, because let's face it, Gaethje, Hooker, one of those two dudes was going to die. Like, and I'm a big fan of both guys, right? But like, one of those dudes wasn't leaving the octagon.
Neither of them were.
And it would have been amazing. Like, it would have been the best fight of the year, I reckon. Easily, I reckon.
Easy.
But I'm a big fan of Hooker. I'm a big fan of Gaethje, and like, I didn't want to see one of my favorite dudes die.
Yeah.
Tom Aspinall's public ultimatum, fight Jon Jones or relinquish your belt, has unleashed a tidal wave of frustration. Many recall the protracted saga with Francis Ngannou, culminating in the star leaving the UFC altogether. Now, as each day passes without confirmation, fans grow louder, brandishing number strip Jones hashtags and demanding the promotion enforce a definitive timeline. Jones's supporters staunchly defend his right to negotiate, citing his storied history of besting legends and building up the promotion's largest pay-per-view draws. Critics, however, contend that a champion's duty is to defend, not endlessly negotiate. The UFC stands at a crossroads. Forcibly stripping arguably the greatest fighter in MMA history would be monumental, yet allowing the heavyweight division to stagnate could cost them credibility. Aspinall, waiting in the wings, states he won't be patient forever. If the belt remains static, the entire era might pass Jones by, tarnishing his once unquestioned reputation.
Where we're at right now is I have spoke to the UFC on multiple occasions about this fight. I'm chasing it up. I want the fight. Been on record and said that I want the fight. I've been on the phone with the UFC saying that I want the fight. When's it happening? I want the fight more than anyone. What is holding it up right now is his side. That's the truth of it. The UFC really, really want the fight to happen. They've told me that. This is, as I said, this is one of the biggest fights that can be made. Does he want to put himself in a position where he's comfortable enough financially to take the risk that he's taking to fight me? And that is where we're at. Like, the UFC tell me, they assure me that they are doing everything they can to make this fight. So it's totally, as far as I'm aware, this is now totally down to Jon Jones and his team to work that out. And I'm literally just waiting for a date.
From Alex Pereira's cryptic weigh-in wait to Navajo Sterling's attempts to guard his perfect record, from Leon Edwards plotting a path back to the welterweight summit to Caio Borralho issuing bold middleweight callouts, every division simmers with unpredictable storylines. Add Sean O'Malley's vow to unseat the unstoppable wrestling of Merab Dvalishvili, the Jon Jones standoff overshadowing the heavyweight scene, and Alex Pereira challenging Magomed Ankalaev's moral stance, and it's evident the MMA world is on the verge of drastic realignments. In a single instant, a sudden injury, a behind-doors handshake, or a viral social media feud, the entire pecking order can shift. Undefeated fighters can see their zeros vanish overnight. Champions can be dethroned by inactivity or outsized hype. Fans, always on the lookout for the next shock, watch every interview, weigh-in, and gym rumor, aware that any detail might spark the sport's next big drama. That's the nature of MMA, part raw competition, part backstage chessboard, always teetering between the status quo and revolutionary change. Keep your eyes open, your ear to the ground, and your feed refreshed, because the next announcement, cancellation, or bold challenge could redefine the narrative for months or even years to come.